Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So I'm already talking to you guys who are listening on the podcast, but I gotta just tell you, it actually really helps me grow the podcast and the show. If y'all might take a minute on whatever platform you're on, particularly Spotify or Apple's podcast network, to just give me 5 stars, review the podcast, say how much you like it. It actually helps. And if you have friends and family who might be interested in subscribing, we're trying to grow the podcast. It's very frustrating because I actually want to do live radio. I don't want to do the podcast as a standalone thing. You'd be amazed at the number of people who have told me, I mean, I do 3 hours of talk a day, and that, hey, you now need to do an entirely separate standalone podcast. And I have no intention of doing that. But I'm leaving this here for you because, one, thank you for subscribing to the podcast. But if you give me a good review on your podcast platform that you're using, Spotify or Apple in particular, Google, but then if you got friends and family you want to recommend it to, that would really help me. There's one more other thing that I would really appreciate you might consider doing for me, because I do want to do live radio. In your area, I might not be on the radio. If you're listening to me, like I know I have a large number of podcast subscribers in Texas. I'm not on the radio anywhere in Texas. If you go to radio-locator. Well, let me make sure I'm going to do it right now. Radio-locator.com. That's it. Radio-locator.com. You put in your city, wherever you are, and you can find the news talk station. So, for example, put in Austin, Texas, and go. You can scroll down and find the formats that say talk radio, and you can find the station in that area. You can see how good the signal is in that area. And just reach out to the local radio station. Ask for the program director and say, would you consider putting on the Erick Erickson Show? That means more than anything for your area. Listen, if you live in Maine and you're calling KLBJ in Austin, Texas, they don't care. They're not going to listen. But if you live in Austin, Texas, and you call KLBJ and say, put on Erick Erickson, they're going to listen. They're going to pay attention if you're in the area. We're trying to grow the show nationwide. We're trying to grow the podcast. Anything you guys can do to help is I really do appreciate it. It's hard because I've got a syndicator, but it's not one of the big radio companies, and you got to get noticed by the big radio companies. And the only way to do that is to have listeners call the stations. KLBJ in Austin is a great example of this. Ask for the program director and say, put me on. They'll listen to you more than they'll listen to me. They know you got listeners, and you guys are the listeners. So thank you very much. But please, anything you can do to help the show grow locally or on podcasts, I appreciate it.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.